The rock world has learned how quickly silence can follow sound, and in recent days that feeling has been heavy for many fans of Three Doors Down. Online rumors and emotional posts spread fast, creating confusion and grief before facts could settle the noise. What matters most in moments like this is slowing down and focusing on truth, respect, and the lasting impact of the music itself. Brad Arnold's voice has been part of people's lives for decades, and when fear or misinformation appears, it naturally feels personal. Instead of amplifying panic, this moment calls for reflection on what his work has meant and why it continues to matter. Music has a way of becoming emotional shelter, and Three Doors Down provided that shelter for millions. This story is not about sensational headlines, but about honoring an artist whose songs helped people feel stronger, understood, and less alone during their own difficult seasons. The voice that defined a generation. If you grew up in the late 1990s or early 2000s, Brad Arnold's voice likely lived somewhere in the background of your life. Even people who never memorized band names knew the sound instantly. It came through car radios, school dances, late-night drives, and quiet moments when words were hard to find. Three Doors Down was not just popular, they were familiar. Their music felt accessible, built around emotion rather than image. Arnold's vocals carried a mix of strength and vulnerability that made listeners believe every line. He did not sing as a distant rock star, but as someone standing beside you, trying to figure things out too. That connection is why his voice still resonates. It reminds people of who they were, what they survived, and how music can anchor memories across decades. Where the story truly began. Long before awards, charts, and sold-out venues, the story of Brad Arnold began in Escatawpa, Mississippi. It was not a city known for producing rock stars, but it was rich in everyday experiences that shaped honest songwriting. As a teenager, Arnold found himself more drawn to lyrics than equations, writing lines that reflected inner conflict and quiet determination. Sitting in a high school math class, he began shaping what would later become Kryptonite, a song that captured the idea of hidden weakness beneath outward strength. That moment represents the core of his artistry. He never wrote to impress an industry. He wrote to express something real. Those small-town roots remained present throughout his career, grounding his music in sincerity and proving that powerful stories can come from the most ordinary places. The breakthrough that changed everything. When Three Doors Down released The Better Life in 2000, the music landscape was shifting. Audiences were hungry for something that felt genuine rather than overproduced, and the band delivered exactly that. Kryptonite exploded across radio stations, not because it was flashy, but because it felt honest. The album's success transformed a group of young musicians into a defining force of the era almost overnight. Yet what stood out was not just sales or chart positions, but how quickly listeners claimed the songs as their own. Arnold became the voice of people navigating uncertainty, pressure, and self-doubt. Instead of leaning into excess, he remained restrained and grounded. That approach allowed Three Doors Down to avoid being labeled a momentary trend and instead become a lasting presence in modern rock. Songs that became emotional landmarks. As the band continued to release music, Brad Arnold proved that emotional connection was not a one-time achievement. Songs like Here Without You, When I'm Gone, and It's Not My Time reached listeners during deeply personal moments. These tracks were played at proms, weddings, military homecomings, and memorials, embedding themselves into real lives. Arnold had a rare ability to write lyrics that felt specific yet universal, allowing people to project their own stories onto the music. His voice carried longing, hope, and resilience without sounding forced. That authenticity cannot be manufactured. It comes from lived experience and emotional awareness. Over time, these songs stopped being just recordings and became emotional landmarks, reminding listeners of who they loved, what they missed, and how they endured. Success without losing identity. Selling millions of records and touring the world can easily distort an artist's sense of self, but Brad Arnold consistently resisted that pull. He never presented himself as untouchable or larger than life. Instead, he leaned into being relatable, often describing songwriting as something that happened during quiet, ordinary moments. That mindset helped him stay connected to reality while navigating fame. Three Doors Down did not rely on controversy or reinvention to remain relevant. They relied on consistency, discipline, and emotional clarity. Arnold's leadership played a key role in that stability. He understood that longevity in music comes from trust rather than spectacle. Fans returned album after album because they knew what they were getting: sincerity, effort, and songs that respected their emotional intelligence. Connection beyond the stage. Brad Arnold's relationship with fans has always extended beyond performances. He recognized early on that music is a shared experience, not a one-sided exchange. Concerts became communal moments where thousands of people sang the same words for different reasons. Arnold often acknowledged that once a song is released, it belongs to the listener. That respect shaped how he interacted with audiences over the years. Beyond music, he supported causes connected to veterans and first responders, understanding the comfort his songs brought to those far from home. This sense of responsibility reflected a deeper awareness of music's power. He never treated fame as entitlement, but as an opportunity to serve something larger than himself, strengthening the bond between artist and audience. Facing life's harder chapters, like many artists, Brad Arnold's journey has not been free of struggle. He has spoken openly about personal challenges and the importance of accountability, growth, and perspective. Rather than hiding imperfections, he addressed them with honesty when appropriate, offering encouragement rather than drama. This openness resonated with fans who saw their own battles reflected in his words. It reinforced the idea that strength is not about perfection, but about choosing to move forward with clarity. Arnold's willingness to acknowledge difficulty without glorifying it added depth to his public image. He became not just a performer, but an example of resilience grounded in humility. That balance helped listeners feel less isolated in their own challenges, reminding them that struggle does not erase worth. Why the music still matters. Even as trends change and new artists emerge, the music of Three Doors Down continues to find listeners. That endurance speaks to the timeless nature of Brad Arnold's songwriting. His lyrics focus on human experiences that do not expire: doubt, love, loss, faith, and perseverance. Every time someone presses play on Kryptonite or Here Without You, the emotional connection is renewed. The voice remains steady, the message familiar. Music like this does not belong to a single era. It travels with people as they age. That is the true measure of impact. Not awards or headlines, but the ability to remain relevant in quiet moments when listeners need reassurance that they are not alone. Honoring the legacy with truth and gratitude. In an age where misinformation can spread faster than understanding, honoring an artist means choosing accuracy, respect, and gratitude. Brad Arnold's legacy is not defined by rumors or fear-driven narratives, but by decades of music that helped people navigate their lives. Celebrating that legacy means revisiting the songs, sharing memories, and acknowledging the comfort they continue to provide. His story reminds us that art created with sincerity leaves a permanent imprint. The best way to honor his contribution is not through panic, but through appreciation. By remembering why his music mattered in the first place, listeners ensure that his influence remains alive, steady, and meaningful for generations still discovering his voice.